A tree line east of Pokrovsk, 0430. Before first light, a Ukrainian operator sits in a dugout, 3 drones in front of him, 1 to see, 2 to strike. He marks a target, and then he lets go. The drones lift on their own. They spread out. They pick their own routes through the trees. They close on the trench from 2 angles at once. He is not flying any of them. Read that again. He is not flying them. He chose the target, and the machines are doing the rest. A war is being fought, in this dugout, by software that decides almost everything except the last word. We have seen this before, in a movie. The autonomous machine that hunts on its own. Black Mirror put robotic hunters in a field and called it a nightmare. The Terminator built a whole mythology on the day the machines stopped waiting for orders. For 40 years, this was the story we told to scare ourselves. It is not a story anymore. It is a company on the NASDAQ, operating tonight on the Pokrovsk front. And to understand why that matters, you have to step back, way back. Every great war leaves one weapon behind, one idea that outlives the fighting and rewrites the rules for everyone who comes after. The First World War left the machine gun, a single weapon that ended the cavalry charge and emptied a generation into the mud, because courage could not outrun a barrel that fired 600 rounds a minute. War became industrial. The man stopped being the weapon. The machine was. The Second World War left the bomb, one device that could erase a city in a single flash, and with it, a new kind of fear, that the next great war might end the species. For 80 years, that one weapon has shaped every alliance, every treaty, every red line on the planet. Then the Gulf War left precision, the guided bomb that could fly through a chosen window from miles away. Force stopped being about how much you dropped, and started being about how exactly you placed it. And now, on that tree line outside Pokrovsk, this war is leaving its own weapon. It does not look like a weapon. It looks like a hobby drone with a piece of software, but it carries the most consequential idea since the bomb, and in a way, the opposite one. The machine gun made war industrial. The bomb made it total. Precision made it exact. This makes it cheap, endless, and for the first time, partly the machine's own call. So here is the question this whole video is really about. What happens to war when force costs $600 and answers to software? And here is the part almost nobody saw coming. The country writing the rulebook for that weapon is the one that was losing the drone war 2 years ago. Go back to the start of this war, because you cannot feel the turn without remembering how it began. In 2022 and 2023, Russia owned the drone fight. Russian Lancet loitering munitions hunted Ukrainian artillery. Orlan reconnaissance drones floated over the front and called down fire. Shahed drones turned Ukrainian cities into targets, night after night. And a wall of Russian electronic warfare swatted Ukrainian drones out of the sky by the thousand. Russia had the systems, the stockpiles, the doctrine. Ukraine was reacting, improvising, surviving. So how does the side on the back foot end up here? How does it go from surviving the drone war to defining it? Not with more drones, with a different idea. Ukraine stopped trying to match Russia machine for machine, and changed what a machine was for. First came mass FPV, 100,000 cheap drones a month. Then fiber optic, immune to the jamming Russia had built its whole edge on. And then the leap that actually flips the war. Autonomy. Here's the thing worth your next 18 minutes, and I'll be precise, because this gets wildly oversold. This is not the future. Small autonomous swarms have been hunting Russian positions on this front for the better part of 2 years. The machines can already fly themselves. The real question is the one that operator is still holding on to. How long does the human keep the last word? And what happens to this war on the day that word becomes a formality? Start with the bottleneck, because the whole turn is one bottleneck breaking. For 3 years, the FPV drone had one hard limit. One drone needs one human. A pilot flies it by eye, all the way in, one at a time. His hands, his eyes, his attention, that's the cap. Ukraine builds over 100,000 drones a month. It does not have 100,000 pilots a month. The drone got cheap. The human never did. That's the wall. You can mass-produce the airframe. You cannot mass-produce the person flying it. A Ukrainian company called Swarmer walked around the wall. Their product isn't a drone. It's software, an AI layer that turns a group of ordinary drones into one coordinated team. The operator stops being a pilot, he becomes a commander. He sets the mission and the target. The drones handle the navigation, the spacing, the search, the run-in, the timing. The machine flies. The human decides. Listen to how the soldiers describe it. Almost offhand. You set the target, said an officer, whose unit has run this more than 100 times, and they do the rest. You set the target, and they do the rest. The standard package is small, and that's the point. 1 drone to see, 2 to strike. 3 machines, 1 operator. Some runs use 8. A position that used to cost 3 pilots a half hour gets handled by 1 man watching a map. The win isn't the size of the cloud. The win is the ratio. 1 human, many drones. Break that ratio, and the drone war stops being limited by how many pilots you can train, and starts being limited only by how many drones you can build. And that number is enormous. If it's the engineering and the cold math you came for, not the flag waving, subscribe. That's the whole channel, every week. Now, how the machine actually climbed to this point. Because it did not happen in one jump. This is the part that should reframe how you see the whole war. Autonomy did not arrive. It was assembled, 1 rung at a time, each rung removing a human or a weakness. Rung 1, GPS. Early drones navigated by satellite, until Russian jamming made satellites unreliable at the front. Rung 2, inertial navigation, holding a course by sensing motion, no satellite required. Rung 3, electro-optical guidance, the drone recognizing its target by sight. Rung 4, fiber optic, replacing the radio link with a thread of glass that cannot be jammed. Rung 5, AI terminal guidance, the weapon locking onto a shape and finishing the last 100 meters with no one touching the controls. And Rung 6, the one we are living through now, swarm coordination, where the human stops commanding each drone and starts commanding the group. Each rung looks small. Together, they walk the human further and further from the trigger. And we are not at the top of the ladder. We are somewhere in the middle, climbing fast. Now, how far it scales? Because the ceiling is the unsettling part. Swarmer's software is built to manage up to 690 drones at once. That's the architecture. Reality is behind it. Reported tests with up to 25. A test of 100 in preparation. So hold all 3 numbers at once. In the field, a handful. On the workbench, 100. In the code, nearly 700. Armies don't usually get to watch a weapon climb that curve in public. This one is climbing it on a stock exchange. In March, Swarmer went public on the NASDAQ, ticker SWMR, and raised around $15 million. A company whose product is autonomous swarm coordination, combat proven since April 2024, now has shareholders. The science fiction grew a stock symbol, and the swarm is learning to see. Because coordination is only half of it. The other half is recognition, teaching the machine what a target looks like. And the targeting AI is being trained on the largest archive of real combat footage ever assembled, by open reporting, on the order of 500,000 hours of Ukrainian drone video, 500,000 hours of actual strikes, actual vehicles, actual misses, fed into the models that learn to lock on. Sit with that. The machine is learning to find you, and it is learning from the most violent data set in human history. Every drone that comes home makes the next one sharper. Now the line, drawn clearly, because this is exactly where the breathless coverage goes wrong. What is autonomous today? The flying, the spacing, the search, the route, the coordination. Increasingly, the terminal lock in the final seconds, where the weapon fixes on a shape and finishes with nobody touching anything. What is not autonomous today? The decision to use lethal force. A human still sets the target. A human still says yes. And the people building this are, for now, adamant about it. Swarmer's own chief executive said it plainly, that they do not trust the technology to decide what is a valid target, that they do not want their systems making that call, that they want humans in charge. Take that seriously, because it is the most important sentence in this entire subject. The line between a machine that flies to a target a human chose and a machine that chooses the target itself, that is the line the whole world is watching. Right now, it is held by a person in a dugout. holding one word. But look what is happening to that person's job around the word. He used to find the target, fly the drone, judge the wind and the jamming, time the strike, confirm the hit. One by one, every task is handed to software. The finding becomes machine vision, trained on those 500,000 hours. The flying is gone. The timing is the swarms. The terminal guidance is the AIs. What's left is one act. Authorization. He is being compressed from a pilot into a switch. And a switch is fast. That's the quiet pressure under all of it. We keep a human in the loop for judgment, the slow human work of asking, is that really a valid target? But everything around him is engineered for speed and scale. 3 drones, then 8, then 100. At 3, a person can look at each decision. At 100, arriving from 100 directions at once, what does a human decides even mean? You cannot weigh 100 decisions in the seconds you have. The human stays in the loop, technically. But the loop gets faster than the human, and the yes becomes a reflex. Has anyone solved that? No, not Ukraine, not the United States, not anyone. It is the open question of the next decade of war, and it is being answered, a few drones at a time, on this front, tonight. And Ukraine is not the only one taking notes. Watch China, because China is watching this closely. Chinese firms have already demonstrated large coordinated drone formations, hundreds, even thousands of machines flying as one, in the open, at air shows and in trials. China makes most of the world's small drones, and the components inside nearly everyone else's. It has the factories, the supply chain, the rare earths, and the patience. And it is developing exactly this, swarming, autonomous, at a scale no battlefield has yet seen. Think about what Ukraine actually handed the world. Not just an edge in its own war, a proof of concept, run live, against a peer enemy, with the results published as a stock ticker. Ukraine showed every military on Earth that the autonomous swarm is not a future weapon. It is a present one. And now everyone is racing to build the version Ukraine showed them. So here is the open question that should keep a planner awake at night. Ukraine proved the idea works with a few drones and a human holding the line by choice. What happens when a state with 1,000 times the manufacturing builds the same thing and feels no obligation to keep that human there at all? That brings us to what 690 actually means. Because it isn't a number, it's an idea borrowed from biology. Think about a swarm of bees. There is no lead bee. No bee flies the others. Each follows a few simple rules about its neighbors, and the colony behaves like one organism. It searches, it finds, it concentrates, and when you swat 100 of them, the swarm doesn't break. It flows around the gap and keeps coming. That is the shape this is reaching for, and it's why the operator's job keeps shrinking. A true swarm at scale would not need a human flying each drone, or even managing each group of 3. The operator sets intent, deny this sector, hunt this axis, hold this corridor, and 1,000 cheap drones self-organize the way the hive does. Scouts feed the picture, strikers peel off. The mass reroutes around jamming, around losses, around dead links, the way bees flow around a hand. And that inverts the entire problem of defense. For a century, you stopped an air attack by being expensive and precise. A radar, a missile, an interceptor, one shot for one threat. Against a hive, that math breaks. You swat the bee. But no single bee carried the plan. The plan lives in the swarm. You can spend $1 million missile on a $600 drone and still lose, because there are 999 more behind it. You cannot bring down a hive one bee at a time. None of that full hive is here yet. Today it is 3 drones and a human holding one word. But every step in this story points the same way. The rungs of the ladder, the test of 100, the IPO, the 500,000 hours of training data, the number of humans per drone, falling. Every step walks away from remote control and toward the hive. And this is where the history comes back around. The machine gun took the human out of the cavalry charge. The bomb took the human out of the calculation of how a war could end. Precision took the human guesswork out of the aim. Each revolution removed a little more of the person from the active force. This one removes the most yet, not the soldier who pays the price, but the judgment at the moment of the strike. That is the line the machine gun never crossed. The bomb never crossed. Precision never crossed. A guided bomb still waited for a human to choose. The swarm is being built, rung by rung, to need that human less. This is the Black Mirror episode, the Terminator premise, except it is not on a screen, and it does not arrive with a villain and a soundtrack. It arrives quietly, in groups of 3, with a stock ticker and a press release. The defining weapon of this war did not announce itself. It just started happening, on a tree line outside Pokrovsk, while the world argued about whether it ever would. So go back to that operator. He marked a target and he let go, and 3 machines did the rest, while he held 1 word in reserve. Today there are 3 drones, and 1 yes, and he has time to mean it. The whole trajectory is toward more drones, and less time. The machine already flies. It already finds. It already strikes. The only job it has not taken from him is the last one. And everything being built around him, in Ukraine, in China, in every defense ministry watching, is designed, whether anyone says it out loud or not, to make that last job faster. Every war leaves one weapon behind. The First World War left the machine gun. The second left the bomb. This one is leaving a cheap drone that thinks. And unlike the bomb, you will not need a state, or a budget, or a treaty to hold it. If you want the full breakdown, the machine vision targeting, the fight over the coordination links, and exactly where the human line is drawn and by whom, comment Swarm 2. That one is next. The drones fly themselves now. The question that's left is the oldest one in war, wearing new clothes. Who decides? And how long do they get to think about it?